What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. On today's episode, we are still on the SEMA CRX here at Gooichi Motors. We have been cranking away on this thing, trying to get the twin turbo system done, while in the background, Sam and his team have been getting the rest of the car dialed in. They've been working on the interior, as well as some really cool bits with the exterior, with the wide body kit and all kinds of stuff that you guys are gonna be blown away when you see what he has done. But I wanna show you real quick. Sam's been working on the steering wheel. This is all handmade by him. You got your blinkers, all these little buttons that do, it's so sick. And then he's got these, really cool. They also got the radium fuel cell in. Looks like they're making headway with the interior. So in this episode, we have to finish out all of the final welding for our titanium. We have a ton of pie cuts to do, as well as our wastegate dumps on our headers. So we're gonna have to disassemble the entire system to get to those flanges, to be able to final weld those, to get those things situated. We also have our really cool clamps on our turbos that we have to weld up. These guys right here, we're gonna final weld them on our snails. Hopefully our titanium ferrules come in so we can final weld those. But all these pie cuts, guys, they all have to be welded and everything. We also have to make our crossover tube for our coolant line and our expansion tank. So we're gonna figure out how we're gonna get all this installed on this episode. And then the final thing that we have to do on this car, as far as the turbo system goes, is connect our downpipe to our exhaust. So there's a little connection point under here somewhere, so we're gonna make a connection to that. Now don't go anywhere guys, you need to stick around for the rest of the episode, because at the end of this episode we are going to convince Sam to take us for a ride in this, his supercharged V12 car. Well, not his, but he built it for his buddy Jesse Bankin, who is an absolute lunatic when it comes to cars. This is a V12 powered Z4, if you haven't seen this car. Our first video on this series on the CRX, and we talk a lot about this V12 car and how insane it is. So he's been working with gremlins with the coolant system, as well as a catch can to equalize the pressure inside the crankcase, and I think he has all that worked out, so we can actually take it for a spin. And yes, this thing is registered and has a driver license plate on it, so you can drive it on the street. So end of the episode, we're gonna drive this thing. So let's get on to final welding our titanium, get all that welded up, and then we'll start working on our downpipe, I think, and getting our wastegate situated. So we have our downpipe pretty much in. I have it taped up right now because Sam is on a gas run for some more gas for the welder. And for right now, we're just gonna use some tape to get everything in position. So that's looking pretty good. We have good clearance everywhere. Last thing I need to button up is that wastegate dump, as you can see. And we're gonna shoot it right out of this hole right here, and come out here, and then probably wrap around this downpipe, put a little slash cut on it so it's not firing anything on the drivetrain or anything like that. So we're gonna start cutting up some more material, some 2-inch stainless, get that routed down, and then the turbo system is pretty much done, other than the miles and miles of welding I have to do once Sam gets back from the welding store. All right guys, we're rounding home base, and as you can see, it's a little dark in here. I came in this morning after the weekend and the lights don't work, so we're gonna be a little bit more intimate. Sam will be in probably in a little bit, and hopefully he can figure out what's up with the lights. But for right now, we're just gonna keep cranking on the downpipe. Thankfully, we do not need lights for welding. So we got the downpipe left to do. We have a whole stack of titanium over there. I know it's hard to see. Once we get the lights fired back up, I'm gonna mock everything up so you guys can see the whole turbo system in all of its glory, all welded up and looking pretty. And what else we're gonna be doing this episode to close out this turbo system. All right guys, we have everything pretty much welded up on this system except for our downpipe merge. So we have our 2 pipes coming out of the turbos. We have our cold side on the passenger side, this big boy on the passenger side, driver side, and this is the second half of our downpipe. This is the piece that actually goes from this guy, we have this little slip fit that we made, and it goes down behind the transmission, and it connects to the side exit exhaust over here. So we have our side exit exhaust, comes up to their downpipe. What I want to do now is I want to make sure that the clocking of this pipe is exactly where it needs to be before I go ahead and lay this one on top of it in order to get our merge, because it might have moved a little bit. It's normal when you're welding these many pie cuts, stuff moves a little bit. So what I want to do is I want to mock up our downpipe and our downpipe section here that goes around the backside of the transmission to the actual side exhaust. Make sure all of that is in line where it needs to be, and then we'll go ahead and fit our rear downpipe section from a rear turbo onto the top of the flat, mark it out. We're going to cut our hole onto this pipe and then go ahead and final weld it up. So we're going to go ahead and do that now, get all that mocked up so we know everything is good, and we'll start making our marks so we can do our final welds. All right, we're almost to the finish line, guys. Man, this has been a big turbo project. So I had to readjust this right here to get our gap tight again. It was about a 1/4 inch off of that. So with all of this movement and all of this movement, when I went ahead and welded it, it just created this big gap. So now that we have everything nice and tight, I'm gonna go ahead and mark this all out as best I can with a magic marker, pull this all out, and then we're gonna cut the hole, put this back in, and then I'm gonna tack it as much as I can in the car, and then we'll pull it out and final weld it, and then that downpipe should be good to go. Once we get that done, we gotta pull the headers out one last time to final weld our wastegate dumps. I'm actually gonna move this one up because it was really close to the suspension, as I said in the last episode. I also have to finalize that wastegate dump. I have to add a couple bends on the backside there. Sam's been killing it with this intake manifold. He actually machined this down last night, I think. So yeah, it's a lot smoother. We had some issues with the hood clearing, so I guess that's good now, and it shouldn't cut. Oh yeah, we gotta cut that out. So V6 issues. We're gonna go ahead and finish this up now, and then get it back in the car, and then we gotta break the whole thing down again to be able to final weld our wastegates. Then we can do a final mock-up and see all the titanium goodies that we've welded all inside the engine bay, and see what this thing looks like. And then don't go anywhere, because we're gonna take that thing for a spin, that V12. So don't stop watching. I know you have goldfish, what is it? It's too early in the morning. Goldfish mentality. No, goldfish memory. I have goldfish memory. I know you guys are like a bunch of goldfish, so don't click away. All right, guys, hope you're enjoying all of the time lapse, because my neck is definitely hurting from all the welding. But every time I come into the shop in the morning, things are always different. As you can see, they are making huge progress on this car. Every single time that you see this thing, it is different. And as you can see, we got a lot of wiring going on. We got the oil lines in for the turbos. Sam is knocking out the coolant system. So this is that overflow tank that links these two heads together. This is going to come into the radiator right here. I went ahead and mocked everything up. The top of the intake manifold is missing. So we have our cold side, our blow off valve. Coming down here, we got our pump for our oiling system. Looks like they're sorting out the wiring for that. We have our cold side coming in. Our end tanks are done. We went ahead and punched these out, final welded them. We also final welded our connections here on the turbos. We have all our cold side over here, our Y. Everything is all welded, guys. The only thing that's left to do is we have a couple things we have to weld up on this dump pipe back here. So this one needs just a couple more bends on it. We'll probably install this under final assembly. And then we also finished up our downpipe in this episode. So this connects to the side exit exhaust. There's a ton of stuff that's happening right now. because I believe these guys are going to be pulling this all apart and the car is going to be going to paint. So next time you see this thing, it's going to be all painted and all just a bare shell, and then it's going to be a mad dash to put this all back together. So at that point, then we're going to probably finish out our downpipe, finish out welding a couple of little odds and ends. I have to put a brace back here for the wastegate dump, but all in all, it's looking like we're almost there. So Adam from Smart EFI is working on a lot of the wiring. What are you doing, man? So you got some Haltech going on?
Yeah, right now I'm doing the battery cables for the car. So from the battery all the way to the front of the car, you can see the pass-throughs.
This is all real deal. What's this called? Mil spec?
Mil spec, yeah. And so this is our ground bulkhead that'll go here. We have our power bulkhead right here.
Look at that.
That goes to the alternator, and then from the alternator down to the starter.
And this is all running a Haltech R3.
And it's got a PD16, Haltech PD16 in the back to run all the rear power in the car.
Yeah, so you have the R3 there for your engine, and then you have a PD16 back here,
right.
And that's gonna
wiring blown apart for it because we have to do a connector change there,
and that's gonna power all your fuel pumps, your tail lights, all your lighting and everything like that.
Correct. Yeah.
And then you have your little touchpad in here. You got the IC7 display in. Car's coming together, guys. We're almost to the end of this episode, and I promised you guys we're gonna take a spin in the V12 car. So we got a couple more things we have to do, and we're gonna get in that thing. You look like a race car driver, you know that?
I don't feel like a race car driver, I feel like a schmuck. See, I was saying it was like blowing black smoke.
Yeah, it was inside.
All right, guys, at the end of this episode, we got a ton done with the fabrication. The turbo system is almost there. We have a little bit more welding to do, and the coolant system is almost there. Sam and his team, the guys have been plugging away on all the lines, getting all the radium in, the fuel system's done. We showed you guys Adam, what he's doing with the Haltech system, this stinking awesome harness that he's building for this car. This thing is top of the line. Sam, what else do we have to do on this CRX to get this thing to SEMA?
We got a lot.
A lot.
We got a lot. Body work, building their new motor's built, so basically ripping this motor out this weekend, assembling the new motor, slap it in, and then yeah, it's going to paint.
Yeah, so Sunday you guys are going to be tearing out this mock-up engine transmission, getting everything out of the car. It's going to be going to the paint shop. So next time you see this car, guys, it's going to be all one color again, looking nice and shiny, and it's going to be a complete thrash fest. And I know I promised you guys at the end of this episode we were going to take the Z4 for a rip, but as you can see from the clip, the guys were working with the timing light. What needs to be done to the Z4 to get this thing to rip, Sam?
Yeah, so we were having issues with the stock cam sensor. It was super erratic over 6,000, 7,000 RPM, so we swapped to a Haltech cam sensor, try to update it all, and just having issues with Haltech reading it. It's just, yeah, internal Haltech issues. So soon, next video.
Next video we'll get this thing ripping. Adam seems pretty confident that it's just a calibration thing or what they have to do, and this isn't easy. You can't put a V12 inside of a BMW Z4, slap a crank driven supercharger on it, dry sump it, make everything from scratch, and expect everything to run perfect. It just doesn't happen, right? So yeah. Growing pains for this car. But if you guys want to see this thing on the dyno, head over to Sam's channel. He does have a dyno video of this thing on its virgin dyno session. I don't think they were running a lot of boost on it, But I think this thing is really close to getting on the dyno again, probably in the near future, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And then putting all the boost through it and seeing what it can do.
Yeah.
So
Sucks.
it sucks. It sucks, but you know what, guys? That's the way it goes. So next episode, I'll probably be checking back in with Sam. I gotta get back to my shop and work on a couple other things, but I'll be bouncing back and forth, guys. I hope you like the content. Remember to comment below. Let us know what you like. Ask as many questions as you can about the CRX as well as the Z4, and I'll try to relay all the information to Sam. And we'll see you on the next episode.
See you.
Peace.